Hello everyone and welcome back to another part of What If Giorno Had the World. If you enjoy the video, subscribe and like the video. Thank you and please enjoy. Bucciarati was filling Giorno in on how the roles of the Passione work. He's in one of the lowest power groups. These groups usually have 6 to 10 members in each of them. These groups are below the capo. Capo are people like Palpo. Each capo is in charge of business and usually focuses on distributing drugs or assassinations in their territory. Bruno tells Giorno that he usually doesn't involve himself with other teammates or capos. The boss is at the top of the power chain. He has a right-hand man who he only communicates with, so talking to him is off limits. The boss is the most secretive person on this list since he never reveals his identity. If they want to find their man, they need to get him to notice them. They have to befriend someone close to him or overthrowing him is useless. To do that, they need to earn the rank of capo, and to do that they'll need a team. The news about Palpo's death was spreading around the Passione. They were talking about how Palpo had a fortune of $5 billion in euros and wondering why he would commit suicide. This also means that they have to be swift with their plans. Somewhere else in the city of Rome, two thugs were driving a car. The driver was driving recklessly even when his teammate said that he should watch the road. The passenger was telling the driver about how Palpo had about $5 billion, but he converted it into jewelry and gold. The driver started fantasizing about what he would do with $5 billion. Nobody had the balls to take his money while he was alive, but now that he's dead, a lot of people's plans were in motion to take it for themselves. He knows that Bucciarati was close to Palpo, and because of that, he might know where his fortune is. Unfortunately, the driver dipped out of the car, which almost killed the passenger. He was surprised by this, but he knew that the driver had better be careful because he heard a rumor that Bucciarati and his team were full of stand users. Back in Naples, Fuggo, can we please be done? It's a good day outside, can we do this later? One day away from the books isn't going to hurt. Whined a boy with an orange bandana on. Oh come on, don't say that. You barely passed grade school. Plus, academic guidance isn't easy or free. Plus, you already learned multiplication. You can do it, you got this. Now, multiply 6 times 5. Said a guy with a green school and orange hair. The orange bandana kid said 30 in response. The orange-haired guy congratulated him, which made him happy. There are 2 other people at the table with them. One of those people was complaining about the cake they had and how there were only 4 slices left. This guy hates the number 4. This guy hates 4 other 7. I guess 4, 8, 9 somehow. Anyway, back to the story, he was arguing with the orange-haired guy from earlier. He thinks that it brings disaster whenever its presence is near anyone. For example, he tells a story of how a cat scratched out one of his friend's eyes because it had 4 whiskers. He wanted cake, but he wasn't going to risk getting a slice from the last 4. The kid with the orange bandana kid was starting to play around with his math lessons, which pissed the orange-haired off since he taught him this over and over. The orange-haired guy stabbed the orange bandana guy with a fork in his cheek in anger and called him stupid. Real quick to the fans, how this nigga got 6x5 right, so how this guy got 28 by multiplying 16x55? The answer is 880. I would have whooped his stupid ass too. Anyways, back to the story. The bandana guy held the orange-haired guy at knife point over him, calling him stupid. Enough you fools, get it together, I can hear you guys from the front of the restaurants. You're disturbing the other customers. I got someone new here, don't embarrass us, commanded Bucciarati. At this point, Bucciarati introduces Giorno to his squad until he gets a phone call. This isn't that important, but this is the part where something changes in the story. So basically after he gets introduced to everyone there, he gets served a drink. However, Giorno recognized the smell. This wasn't a drink, it was urine. Everyone was watching Giorno's next move. He drank the piss. Or did he? He used his power to stop time and watched a nearby trash can and put that cup in it. He went over to another table, picked up a similar cup, and returned to his seat before time resumed. Everyone was surprised at the fact that he drank pee. Everyone wanted to know how he did it, but he had his secrets. He hints to his new team that he has a stand as well, surprising them. I'm going to skip over these next 4 parts because these parts would go the same. Bucciarati takes down Mario Zucchero, Mista takes down Sale, Narancia straight up murders Formaggio, and Fugo's stand Purple Haze kills the man in the mirror. Everything goes the same as before: Bucciarati's train fight, Babyface's defeat, and Meloni's death. For the sake of the story, let's just say that since Babyface died, Meloni died. Because of Meloni and Babyface's death, Giorno's body heals. This is an exception since there's no golden wind. So right now, we skipped over a lot of the story's fights. This is because these fights wouldn't change since the enemy's powers are the same stands. So now, let's get to the ice car chase. So basically, the chase would go the same for Ghiaccio freezing the car while being on the roof, since Giorno has the world. This is going to go differently by a lot. So Mista shoots his bullets into the roof, but the ice stops them. Luckily for them, Giorno stopped time and grabbed one of Mista's bullets. He then started to use one of his arms to repeatedly punch the bullet. Time will now flow again, said Giorno. The bullet managed to pound clean through the ice and knock the ice stand user off the roof. What the hell was that? Asked Mista, puzzled. Oh, I forgot I never told you guys I could stop time. While time was frozen, I used one of your bullets and punched it to give it enough force to go straight through the ice, replied Giorno. As soon as the ice thawed out, Giorno pulled the car over and told Mista to go on without him. And the only thing on his mind right now is taking down the ice skater. He ran to the side of the bridge, jumped into the air, and started flying towards them. Seeing this, Ghiaccio quickly chose to follow Giorno instead of Mista. Instead of swimming, he decided to quickly use his ice to create a platform to chase after Giorno. After landing on the other side, he saw the statue where the disc was, but that wasn't important. The matter is now if Giorno can beat Frosty the Snow Stand. As soon as Ghiaccio touched land, Giorno used the world's time stop. He walked up to the enemy and used his stand to punch clean through his stomach, even through the ice armor he had on. As time started again, Ghiaccio flew back 15 feet away. Ghiaccio managed to get back up and transform into his super suit mode. He was trying his best to stand up, but he was gripping his stomach. He decided to freeze his stomach to stop the bleeding. You bastard, you're strong as hell. But that doesn't matter, you will fail to defeat me. He started to charge at Giorno to freeze his head. At that moment, the world deflected his hand and started to barrage him while screaming, "Muda Muda Muda," over and over. With one swift uppercut, he punched the villain's head off. Giorno was glad that he could stop this villain and give his team a winning chance at staying alive for longer. This also means that Narancia doesn't get traumatized from seeing Giorno heal Mista, since again he doesn't have golden wind, and Mista gets away with not being injured. Now let's skip over to the next fight, Diavolo. Well, everything goes as the original with the fight between Bucciarati and Diavolo up until the point of them deciding to betray the boss except Fugo because he's scared even though he knows that he can trust Bucciarati. The difference here is that Bucciarati doesn't get impaled or cut by King Crimson, but he does take a bad beating. Narancia joins because he feels betrayed and the same pain Trish receives from the boss. Mista wants to kill the boss so he can become the capo. Everyone is concerned for their lives. They know that people are bound to be after them since they're betraying the boss, and it might be someone from the inside. They have to tread carefully since sea traveling is out of the question. The first thing they did was eat since the 6-pistol stand bullets were hungry again. Real quick to the fans, how much do you think your bills would be if you had this stand? They would run through my pockets a lot. Anyway, back to the story. Basically everyone is having a fun time while eating except Giorno, who's remaining vigilant and watching his surroundings. A man with a white suit started yelling at Narancia over the fact that he spilled wine on his expensive white suit. The man with the suit grabbed Narancia by the shirt and started threatening him. However, instead of saying sorry, he smashed the mess out of the man with this wine glass. He thought the guy was an enemy tracking them down. Guido, Mista and Narancia started to kick the man while he was on the ground in coordination. Even Abbacchio got in on it. There's a problem though, this guy wasn't a stand user or their enemy. He wasn't tracking them or planning to attack them. They pretty much just beat up a random dude over a small wine spot on a suit. Narancia started panicking over the fact that he had just beaten up a random citizen over nothing. Mista and Abbacchio didn't feel that much remorse toward the man. Giorno was quite glad that Bucciarati was okay, but still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Everyone listen up. The boss has the power to obliterate time and only he can move when that happens. He's unstoppable. Doesn't matter the person or the approach. However, once we find out who the boss is, that's where we get at him. There's no other choice, it's kill or be killed. Narancia didn't want to have Trish on the mission with them since he thought it was too much that they were going to kill her dad, but she didn't care. All she wants to know is who's her father, since her father left her as a child and her mother had to take care of her. Her mother and father met in Sardinia while her mother was on vacation. This meant that he left because he was becoming the boss of the Passione. Now the group is going to be heading to Sardinia. Narancia was eating some soup while thinking about how Trish changed a lot. She was acting like an official gangsta now, but for now, he's having doubts about this mission. At this point, Narancia noticed that his spoon was somehow missing even though he had it in his hand the whole time. He was looking everywhere around him but couldn't find the spoon, so he got another one and started eating again. Then he noticed it. His spoon didn't disappear. His spoon was in the soup but was quite torn up like a dog chewing on cardboard. Without any reason, a fish, or what appeared to be one, jumped out of his spoon, ate the rest of his old spoon, and started doing circles in his soup. Everyone, we're being attacked. My soup's got a weird shark swimming in it. Everyone got ready to attack except Trish, who's inside the turtle because Bucciarati ordered so. Mista questioned Narancia about where the attacker was. It was in my soup bowl. One don't know how it got in there though, replied Narancia. Mista looked around Narancia's spilled soup but found nothing. Mista was wondering if they lost the enemy, but Narancia found it in the spoon he held. The fish shark jumped out of the spoon trying to bite off Narancia's tongue but missed. The enemy quickly retreated into the soup as a hiding place. This means that the talking head stand user is useless since Narancia never got bit. While being pursued by the stand, Narancia noticed that the stand could teleport through water, which gave Narancia an idea. Guys, the stand user is using the liquids to attack us, guys follow me. Narancia quickly ran to the bathroom, clogged the sinks with napkins, and turned them on. Everyone, the stand user can teleport between water sources, use your stand, and defend yourselves. Everyone readied themselves in the bathroom as they all saw something leap towards Giorno. The fish was about to bite Giorno in the neck, but the world punched it away. This damaged the stand a little. Bruno quickly thought of an idea. Since Giorno damaged the enemy stand badly, the user must be in bad shape trying to catch his breath. He told Narancia to track down the user and Giorno to go with him. He was right. Far away, the users of both the fish shark stand aka Clash and the talking head stand were trying to leave before Bucciarotti's team arrived. Their names were Tiziano, the guy who controls the talking head, and Squalo, the guy who controls the Clash fish stand. Squalo was in very bad shape and was coughing up a lot of blood. He was panting heavily and this was bringing his downfall. Basically, everything goes the same with Narancia killing Tiziano, but when he tries to eliminate Narancia, Giorno stops time and easily destroys his stand with a barrage of powerful blows, killing him. Let's skip over the next few parts since everything goes the same. Giorno and Narancia get injured the same. Trish gets her stand, Spicy Lady, and the group shakes the notorious Big stand off their tail. The story would go the same with Diavolo ending the lives of Abbacchio and Rosato. The group managed to escape with the head statue of what the boss looked like. It was created by Moody Jazz before the boss got to him. Inside the turtle's secret room, Giorno was using a laptop to search if there was a chance that the boss faked his death. Bruno knows that they need to hurry and find some information about the boss or they'll be killed by the boss himself. This was going to be extremely hard since if the boss did have any evidence, he covered it up. However, they looked through history to see if the boss had a criminal record and death record, but to no avail. He must have got it wiped clean off if he did get convicted. Trish tells both Bruno and Giorno that she could sense her father and that she killed Abbacchio. They heard another voice that said, "I wouldn't say that. You already succeeded in finding your course, you only need to find a way to kill him." The voice was coming from the computer. "I've been waiting for so long for someone like you guys to hunt down this vile despicable man." Bruno told Giorno to turn off the call cause he thought whoever this was tracking them. The voice from the computer told them to calm down and that he wanted to help them. Diavolo. The mysterious man said that he'd been watching this line to seek a hero worthy of defeating Diavolo. This doesn't get Bruno's attention or trust since he has no real information he can use. This wasn't until he told them he knew that Diavolo had the power of erasing aka skipping time, which dropped their jaws. He knows that they're trying to find the boss's identity. This gained Trish's trust but not Bruno's and Giorno's. They wanted to know more about this man but he didn't want to and he couldn't fight anymore since he was in bad shape. If they wanted to defeat Diavolo, they needed to come to Rome since he had an arrow. Bruno asks how he got the arrow he had but the guy told them to come to Rome then they could talk. "Since I'm here, I'll tell you about the arrow though. This arrow does a lot more than just awaken stands. Not even the boss knows how to use it correctly. It has a hidden power that I'll teach you once we meet." Now, back to the island they just left. If Doppio was talking to King Crimson about how the traitors got information about him that he doesn't possess. King Crimson tells Doppio to follow them and alert Cioccolata and Secco to intervene with them. To make up the time, the man tells the squad about some of his history. There's a place called Greenland known for having a very large crater caused by a meteorite. In 1979, some men were sent to survey the meteorite and 2 of them contracted a strange illness. Their bodies became covered in blisters that grew until they burst and passed away. However, one of them shot a jolt of electricity from their hand like a stun gun and burned the fingers of the doctors treating him. Investigations had suggested a virus was inside the crater and that it was 1,000 years old. Centuries ago, a man who craved absolute power created the arrows from the meteorite. Through the viral theory, most people died due to the virus and some lived on, giving them stands. Bruno asks about the arrow's power again, but the man doesn't budge. The man wants to meet them face to face, and he can only tell one of them the truth about the arrow for the safety of others. So the group had to make their way to Rome. Whoever learns to use the arrow properly can defeat the boss and his stand, King Crimson. Now, let's time skip a little to the next part. Once they got to the island, they noticed some people that were drunk on the stairs. The drunkards were playing around until they realized that they were being attacked by a stand user who used the power of mold. The events would go the same for the main story. They would find out that the stand user requires people to be at a lower position than him to use his power. They need to keep moving upwards to avoid being molded. They also need to get to a car to get outside the stand's mold range. Narancia got infected with the mold due to him jumping back onto the boat they had. Due to Narancia's injuries, he's put into the room on the turtle's back. Bruno has taken his place for now. One thing they didn't know is that two people were watching them from a vantage point. One of the two people was named Chocolata. He had a stand named Green Day. His stand spreads a mold-like substance onto people that decreases from their current altitude. So basically, if you take an elevator down or move downward on a hill in the slightest, it infects you and kills you. This is a dangerous opponent. He had a partner. Real quick, if you are gay or anything like the LGBTQ, I hope you don't get offended. These guys are gay. I ain't talking happy. Their main goal was to escape and get to the Colosseum. Fighting the two stand users was pretty deadly since one of them killed everyone in that small village. They decided to climb the stairs but noticed that they started sinking. This was the other enemy stand user's stand power. He could go underground and it acts like a tunnel system for him and causes it to sink. Mista tried to shoot the villain when he ascended from underground, but he deflected the bullets and they hit Mista instead. The same bullets that got deflected and hit Mista got deflected by the 6 bullets. Even when this happened, they still missed it because the guy rushed back underground. He started to go after Bruno. Bruno, get inside the car and start it. What are you waiting for? Get inside the damn car, yelled Mista. If we're able to drive out of here, we'll be fine. As long as we're heading to Rome. Bucciarati proceeded to run away until he jumped off a ledge. So you're tracking our movements beneath the earth, huh? Quite a terrifying power, but what is your extent? Can you truly read our intentions? Said Bruno as he kept falling until he saw the second guy making a hole in the wall where he was. This second enemy stand user had an entire body suit on with his entire body covered with blue hair. He then used Zipper Man and started barraging him like crazy. The enemy stand user then destroys the wall, causing debris to fall towards Bruno. Since Bruno had to use his stand to destroy the falling debris of rocks, this gave his enemy time to escape. Once he was somewhere, he was safe. He was panicking about how much pain his face was in and how Bruno grazed him. Chocolata got a phone call from his partner. What is it? Hey, Chocolata, 3 days ago, did you hear the news right? You know the stand that the boss put on the airplane. Notorious Chase is what I think it was called. Now Secco, don't waste time chatting and hunt them, the bastards. Chocolata, please, this is very important. Is Notorious Chase a living stand or a dead stand? Why are you asking all of a sudden? I know it sounds stupid, but please answer. If Notorious Chase was with us right now, would your stand's mold grow on it since it's a dead stand? Notorious Chase. You mean that stand lived on due to its user's vengeance and hatred? Who knows? I'm kinda curious myself, but I don't know. What I do know is that Green Day will petrify any organism it comes into contact with. Sound the mold won't grow on non-living organisms like rocks and other objects. Forget this. I asked you to film those idiots with that death row, so stop being distracted and hop to it. That's the thing, Chocolata. Look at the hill. Up there and on the road. Chocolata started looking towards the hill and saw a car driving up it. Hey Secco, why am I watching our car leave the village and why are you letting this happen? I don't know, but here's the thing, he attacked me when he jumped off the ledge. The strange thing is that he didn't have any mold on him. Not one bit. He shouldn't have been able to attack me. It shouldn't have been possible, so he must have been resistant to the mole. How is this even happening? I haven't the slightest idea. Inside the car the group took, Bruno was driving the car while Giorno was checking Mista for infection, but due to them looking upwards, the mole infection was completely gone for him and the entire group. Hey Bruno, are you listening? We need to check your injuries. Giorno puts his fingers on Bucciarotti's neck, and this shocks Giorno out of fear because he realizes there's no warmth on his skin and his pulse is dead. Giorno would also notice that his hand isn't bleeding out. Giorno, did you say something? You seem a little nervous. This moment reminds Giorno of Bucciarotti's injury in Venezia. Bucciarotti would notice his hand and realize what was happening. You shouldn't worry Giorno, it's not your fault. I'm quickly losing all feelings. I haven't had my sense of touch for a while now. Giorno realized that meant that Bucciarotti was dead already, regardless of getting treated by his crew. Bucciarotti thinks that this is faith from heaven. Giorno doesn't want to accept it, but nothing can escape death's grasp. Death has his hands on Bucciarotti's soul in his hands. Bucciarotti, you can't ask me to accept this. I wouldn't all. Bucciarotti tells Giorno to stop talking and that he hears something approaching them. It sounded like a loud engine. Boom. An unknown person's body dropped onto their car covered in mold. What the hell is going on? Giorno shouts at Bruno to stop the car since it's going downhill. They'll become easy victims to the mole. The car spiraled out of control, so Giorno and his crew bailed from the car with Zipper Man's help. Musta is so surprised by the sudden attack. This enemy they're facing is raining down moles onto people and killing them. This guy has no remorse for the people he kills. He lives his evil and darkness every day. They need to kill him before he kills them, and he gets to the Colosseum and destroys it. He orders Mista to shoot the driver and he complies. Mista unloaded some rounds, but they got deflected by Green Day. They started getting sucked into the ground. They have to make sure that the helicopter doesn't escape. Mista tries to aim for the helicopter, but he can't lock onto the propeller or the engine. Giorno even tries to tell him to shoot it, but the helicopter is out of range. He even forced him to shoot it, but the bullets curved. Giorno grabbed Mista with the world and began to parkour his way up to the helicopter. Chocolata would start driving the helicopter away, and this is where Mista would stop to shoot him, and this caused 5 of his 6 bullets to be killed. Bruno would stand jump to the helicopter. Once he was inside the helicopter, he noticed that the villain was missing and the city was in destruction due to him. He saw bullet number 1 in great pain and tried to save him, but bullet number 5 would pick up on the fact that this is a trap. Chocolata would come out of hiding and try to attack Giorno, but the world would sucker punch his man's chest so hard, his rib cracked a little. Chocolata's blood flees at this. Chocolata's severed arm would try to attack Giorno, but the world would deflect its attack, but the power would cause him to fall out onto the hood. He would then tell his story about how he became a doctor and tortured people to see how the mind works. Torturing people is all it takes to make him happy. He would then barrage Giorno, and this causes him to fall out of the helicopter. Cioccolata would laugh psychotically as this happens. Giorno would quickly shout the name of his stand, causing time to halt. Play the Giorno piano part here. You caused so much play to so many innocent lives. You don't deserve mercy. Your license to kill has been provoked, said Giorno proudly. The world would use the world's finger and poke through the villain's head. As time resumed, the villain would be grabbing his head out of fear and pain. He doesn't know what's going on. How and when did Giorno attack him? He collapsed to the ground in pain and agony. The helicopter would spiral out of control and crash, but it doesn't explode, it's just badly damaged. Let's time skip again since everything would flow as normal. The final boss with Diavolo. Everyone swapped bodies with everyone they did in the normal. Giorno is now in Narancia's body and it's the same likewise. Mista is in Trisha's body and it's the same way around. The boss and Bruno's body swap is unknown. Nobody knows if Bruno and the boss swapped bodies. For those who didn't watch the anime, one of the past MCs named Jean-Pierre Polnareff had a stand named Silver Chariot and it got stabbed by the Requiem arrow. The Requiem arrow had the hidden power to unlock a stand's latent potential and give them the power to rule the world if they're chosen. When Silver Chariot got this power, it was uncontrollable and swapped everyone's soul aka minds with the closest living thing to them. It became its own independent stand like the notorious B.I.G. Everyone was panicking about this because they weren't sure what happened. However, Jean-Pierre Polnareff, whose soul was now imprisoned inside a turtle, knew what was going on. Since he had done this before, let me explain this as well. In the 20th century, Polnareff and Jotaro were tracking down the arrows and the boy who found them, aka Diavolo. Jotaro searched America and Asia while Polnareff searched Europe and Africa. He learned that the arrow was in a crime-infested part of Italy. When the boss heard the news about someone looking for him, he took action and badly injured Polnareff. He was able to last longer against Diavolo than any other man due to his knowledge of Diavolo's secret ability to skip time aka erasing it. Now back to the story, they would learn from Polnareff that this was Silver Chariot's doing. They needed to stop the stand at all costs, meaning they'd have to destroy the stand and stop King Crimson from getting the arrow. They also need to watch out for Diavolo. He used Trisha's appearance to trick Bucciarati and he even got close to him. He's working with another person sharing his body. He has an alter ego that aids him in his missions. Giorno, something's moving towards the Colosseum, said Narancia inside Giorno's body using his stand to monitor the area. He saw someone heading towards the entrance of the Colosseum. Giorno signaled his team to hide and keep out of sight until they knew who it was. They hid near the entrance until the figure got closer. They panicked after seeing it was Diavolo. Giorno, wait, look over there. They're in the dark. Giorno and his crew saw the chariot Requiem. Diavolo charged at the stand ready to attack. Everyone was scared because he was about to get his hands on the arrow. If that happens, they're dead. When he attacked Silver Chariot, something was different. His stand was Bruno's stand, Zipper Man. This meant Bruno was in Diavolo's body. Then doesn't this mean that Diavolo was in Bruno's body? We'll find out later. Basically, after figuring this out, they started watching Bruno's body closely for any form of movement. He was fully unconscious, so he wasn't waking up for a while. Let's skip time for one final time. To the point where everyone was swapped back to their normal bodies. Since Giorno's body was dead and because he didn't have gold experience here. This means that Giorno was stuck inside Narancia's body, but everyone does switch like normal. The boss was going after Giorno and this is where the battle began. The Kings of Time fight. After the arrow rejected Diavolo, he was pissed beyond belief. He decided to go after Diavolo. Giorno inside of Narancia's body readied the world to attack. Giorno bit his finger so he could bleed a little to predict when Diavolo would erase time. All of a sudden, more blood was already on the floor, meaning time jumped. The world blocked an incoming blow from Diavolo and returned a powerful right hook on King Crimson's face. He then would barrage him until Diavolo disappeared from his vision. While time was being erased, he tried to look into the future but couldn't see anything at all. It was completely black. Suddenly, he was punched out of his time-skip zone. Diavolo was surprised. He thought to himself about why he couldn't see what was destined to happen. It was like time wasn't flowing at all. So that's his stand's power, the ability to stop time. No wonder I couldn't see what was happening, said Diavolo angrily worried. It was a good thing he froze time because Diavolo was going to attack him if he didn't and probably win. Giorno had to wait a little before he could stop time again because he was human. He wasn't a vampire like his father. Giorno could only stop for about 3 to 4 seconds. Diavolo would use King Crimson to barrage Giorno, but he gets overpowered quickly and gets dealt a serious combo of blows including an uppercut at the end, sending him flying. King Crimson was starting to bleed a little and it felt like the world had broken a few of his ribs. That's it. Stop time all you want, I'll still crush you, Giorno. This is the end. King Crimson. He activated King Crimson but nothing happened. Diavolo then screamed in agony as he flew backward. He was in some serious pain right now. That's because Giorno froze time and punctured his stomach like Kakyoin. He would then barrage the villain again right before time started again. This is impossible. King Crimson is the ultimate stand. How could you have defeated me? There's no way I should be able to lose. I'm the apex of power. In a split second, Diavolo's head would be completely crushed by Giorno's stand punch. After the boss was defeated. This almost means the story will go differently, but since episodes 38 and 39 are completely somewhere at the beginning of the story, we're not going over it. But Giorno does become the boss of the mafia like the original, but I don't know what happened to crime there. I am watching the anime and writing this at the same time, so the story probably will be kinda messy. I only wanted to talk about the parts of the story that Giorno would have an impact on. But anyway, this is where the story ends. I wanna thank you guys for tuning in and taking the time to watch my story. Thank you. Goodbye and make sure to subscribe. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed this video and I'm out.